Right, I want to talk about getting the correct shutter speed, aperture, etc. Why not come along and see what I can possibly show you? Well, good afternoon. And you find me again in the Lake District, just going local again and walking from home. And this video is partly in response to a comment I received. Somebody enjoyed the video, but they sort of commented how did I actually meter the light, etc., to set shutter speeds, etc. So that's what I'm hoping to show today. I thought we'd just go down to the lake. We're heading to Isthmus Bay, and hopefully with being the late-ish afternoon, we might get some nice, a bit more subdued light and see if we can get some nice images. But I'll go through how I actually decide on what shutter speed to set and aperture, etc. But it's mainly to do with the metering and getting it all correct to get a correctly exposed image. So yeah, so we'll head on down to the lake and we'll see you a bit later. Right, well, we've made it to Isthmus Bay, as you can see, and if you look out there, there's the lawns set off from Keswick landing stages, and it'd be going to not quite sure, is it Hawk's Head or Hawks, whatever it is, and then it's going on the anti-clockwise trip round the lake. And we've come here and there's this sort of jetty that at the moment, as you can see, the very end of it is just in the water. The last time I came it was mostly in the water, and there have been at times when it's been completely underwater, and even coming on this bit here you would need waterproof shoes or wellies on, and that's so yeah. So what we're going to do, there's some quite moody skies at the moment, so I'm not quite sure what composition, but what we're going to do is we'll come up with some sort of composition, and then what I'm going to do is I'll video the back of the camera rather than videoing through the camera, because when I video through the stills camera you can see the scene I'm about to capture, but it doesn't show you any of the settings, whereas on the live view you've got all the settings. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll set it up with this camera behind, and then we can talk through maybe talk through the composition, but also talk through how I use it and what options there are when I'm choosing my shutter speed, etc. So, right, we'll get on and we'll see you shortly. Right, well, we've come up with our composition, and we can see the back of the camera. I'll try and explain what everything is. It's a bit difficult. I mean, if I move my hand there, you can hardly see it. So I've got my hand there on the camera, trying to just shade it from the direct sunlight. It's quite bright. So I've actually taken the image, but the composition, as you can see, let's bring it back up. has a tendency to disappear if you don't do anything. So yeah, you see you've got cat bells along there, the moody sky above, Derwent Water below, and we've got the sort of jetty as a leading line. And yeah, we've already taken the images, but what I do, and this is a fairly standard image, so what I do to start off with, in general I go for f11 because that will get most things in focus. If you see, if I move the focus point to the center and then focus, that's focused just below cat bells on the lake, and it will just trying to make sure this is so most will be in focus. So that's in general, unless I want something a bit more, for some reason, say I wanted a starburst and I put it to f22, or I want the background to go out of focus and might go down to f8 or f5.6 or even f4. So as I say, as standard I tend to go for f11, and obviously we focus, etc., which we've done, and then you can see at the top here we've got the histogram, and that's what I use to get the settings. So I will adjust the shutter speed. You see, as I go, it's going off the right, and that makes that means it'll be overexposed. So if we bring the shutter, bring the shutter speed up. If we go too high up, it will cram up to the left, which then means it's going to be underexposed. So what we really need with the histogram is to get it more or less in the middle like that. So that's that. So if we take, I mean, it might have changed, so we'll just make sure it's focused, and we'll take our 3 shots. 1, 2, and 3. And then what we'll do is look at the JPEG, and you can, I don't know whether you can see, just at the top there's a slight bit of flashing black. Now that means that on the JPEG that bit of sky is overexposed. So it's a double check, and I'm quite happy with that. Just a little bit. If the whole sky was blinking black, I mean, if we come out of the preview, and if we'd gone too high like that, and then taken an image, this one we're just going to bin, and then we do the preview, you'll see there a lot of the sky is now flashing black. So that shows that a lot is overexposed, and that is not a good idea. So yeah, so if we go back to that, we'll get the histogram in the center, so we're not underexposing, we're not overexposing, and that's basically how I get my metering correct. I've just checked, you see there's a little sign, and that is to say that it's what's Canon calls evaluative metering. So it's looking at the whole image and trying to come up with an evaluation. And at the bottom here, if I press the shutter speed, you'll see there's a little mark under there, the center one. If I was to put it, now that is the metering saying per the metering that's working, but the histogram gives a much more accurate evaluation, because it shows, in effect, looks at the whole image, etc., to see what we're doing. And if I want to do something else, say I wanted to increase the expose, or what we'll do that, we'll just stop here and then we'll start again in a moment. So we'll see you, more or less it will appear instantaneous, but I'm just going to stop the camera here. Right, and here we are back again. Hopefully you can see that. I'm not sure how well it's going to video given the light, and you see the screen's completely black. Now what I've done is I've put a 10 stop ND filter on, still at the same setting. So what we need to do is really slow down the shutter speed, and we can see that it does brighten up the image, and the histogram is now in the center. So that's talking about yeah, let's go with that at 13 seconds, and we'll just take that one. So there you can see, view the histogram to try and correct, having put the filter on, what we need to do to make the shutter speed correct. And yeah, hopefully we'll see that. And if we look at the preview again, we've got a little bit of flashing. The water's smoothed out a bit, and we've got more or less bang on. It maybe wants to be slightly quicker, so we'll go back and we'll up it to a 10th, not 10 seconds, not a 10th, and we'll take that again, and you see it goes black while it's working away, and you can probably see there's the reflection of the video camera in there because of the angle of the light, etc. And now if you look at the preview, we've got very little flashing black. So yeah, so that gives the idea. We work for the histogram, and we yeah, so we can see that there's a camera there with the 10 stop ND filter on. So what I was going to say was, we get the metering right by using the histogram, and then we adjust whatever we need to adjust to get it correct. So if we're just doing a standard shot with landscape, the aperture is probably more important, so we set it at f11, and as we saw, I think we came out with an 80/100th or an 80th of a second for the standard shot and standard image, and we took that, and that was perfectly fine. Obviously if it was darker, we would need to slow the shutter down. If it was even brighter, we'd need to up it, and we can do that. The other so I suppose there's three things we can alter to get the metering right. We can see that there's the shutter speed, or if we need a specific shutter speed, we want a very quick shutter speed, we can open up the aperture, open up the hole, let some more light in, so it will cope with a faster shutter speed. Or the other thing we can do, if we need a quicker shutter speed, is up the ISO. It's set at 100. I try and shoot at 100 unless I need to up it for whatever reason. So if it's getting very dark, or we're somewhere where we need a quick shutter speed, we will do that. And obviously in landscape here, I'm doing it all manually. I occasionally do use certain settings where the camera works it all out. I have a setting for, say, street photography, where it will keep the shutter speed at a minimum of something like, I can't remember what it's set, maybe 100th of a second, and it will adjust I think it's set to aperture priority, so I choose the aperture, but it will alter the ISO, and it will up it if it needs to do it to keep it at that minimum. If it's well above that minimum with the light, it won't alter it. So that's what we'll do. What I was going to say, any of those images that are any good, we'll put up, and then we'll look to go somewhere else, and we'll talk about how I do it with handheld images. So yeah, we'll put the images up, and we'll see you a little bit later. Right, as you see, we've come to the path back to Crow Park, and it's quite nice with the trees coming in, so I thought I'd get a handheld image of this. And the way I do handheld is I've got a customized setting, so it gets rid of the mirror up and the delay, so it's instantaneous on pressing the shutter, but everything else is manual, although it defaults to f11. And at the moment, looking at the camera, if I'm going with a meter and I'm going with 0.3 of a second f11. So I'm going to open the aperture up to f8, and I'm going to up the ISO. I think we'll up it to 800, and then to go with the metering, it will go to a 40th of a second. But I tend to find it's better just to speed it up a little bit. So we'll do a 60th of a second. I've taken the 3 shots, 3 images, and then we just double check on the back of the camera, and that's perfect. Nothing flashing as overexposed. So yeah, when you look through the viewfinder, you get at the bottom, you get the sort of metering thing with bang on, and then -3 to the left, and 1, 2, +3 to the right. You've got the aperture, which we've got as f8. We've got the shutter speed, which we've put to a 60th, and the ISO to 100. So we'll just take it again. And yeah, so that's how I do the metering handheld, just using the thing at the bottom, and probably just speeding up the aperture, sorry, the shutter speed a little bit, particularly if we've got a bright sky or something. Sometimes find when there's a bright sky, it tends to get overexposed. The rest of it's all right, but then the sky, you're losing the details. So what I would have done then, looked at the back of the camera. If it had been flashing that there was overexposure, I would have upped the shutter speed and taken the images again till we got it as desired. So yeah, we're relying on the metering of the camera, and we do it slightly different when doing it through the viewfinder, because this is, I keep standing up, so probably going down to me. This is a DSLR, not a mirrorless. Sometimes in the mirrorless, when you're looking through the viewfinder, you're looking at an LCD screen. So I believe on some of those, even when you're doing it handheld, you can see the histogram. Whereas to do it on here, you've got to do it on live view. And what I don't like doing, and you see a lot of people doing this, is putting the live view on like that and then doing this. Yeah, it's defaulted back. That's the only problem with the customized settings. It does default back to the default settings. So yeah, you can see, but it's extremely difficult to hold the camera still, because you've only got 2 points. When, if I take my glasses off, when you've got it to the eye, I'll just take the live view off, you've got 3 points. You've got your head and the 2 hands, so it's a lot easier to keep it still. Obviously, one way occasionally I do it, got the settings right, brought it away, check the histogram. So on there you could say, all right, I can take it across there with the histogram, take it off, go back to the eye, just check it's in focus, and take the images again. I just don't like holding the camera away from the eye, because I think that is not as doesn't give it as much stable. So yeah, whichever's the best of those we'll put up. And I think it's starting to cool down, it's starting to get dark a bit. We'll head to Crow Park, possibly take some images there, and then we'll head home. So whatever happens, we'll see you a little bit later. Right, we've come to Crow Park, and the place where often you get the iconic image, but I was going to take one, but there's quite a few people about, so I won't. But what I was thinking was I will put up an image I've taken in the past, because you can see at the moment the lake is very low. If I zoom in, you can see the gate is well out of the water. I have been at times when the lake's been very full where you can't even see the gate. It's the gate and the gate post, it's just totally underwater. But this is one of those where you get the gate hopefully in the water, the island, Derwent Island and Cat Bells behind. So yeah, I'll put up an image when the lake's full, just so you can see as a comparison, and now I'm going to head back home. So we'll catch up with you very shortly. Right, we're on our way back home now, almost up to the main road that comes out of Borrowdale into Keswick. And I forgot to mention it when I got to Isthmus Bay, the scene from the B-roll there, that there was queues of traffic. It's not really designed with all these tourists in mind. When you got one or two locals going up and down, not a problem. When you got a load of tourists going up for the day and then they're all coming back in time for tea, it does get a bit busy. And sometimes from the roundabout on the edge of Keswick to the roundabout near Booths, it can take quite a while. It's just solid traffic. So yeah, it's been quite a good afternoon. Hopefully we've got a couple of reasonable images, and hopefully for those that are unsure what I do, hopefully it'll help. Whether the images will have come out brilliant or the video, when I was videoing the back of the camera, will have come out well, I don't know, because there was quite a lot of glare from the sun. Could have done with some sort of sunshade on just to stop the glare. We'll see what it's like when we get it on the computer, and if we can do anything to improve it. But yeah, so that was today, showing you how I decide the shutter speed to get the images not overexposed or underexposed. The one thing I didn't talk about was occasionally where we've got a very high dynamic range, I will take bracketed images. And what I normally do is 2 stops, which means I will take 3 images, one on the correct exposure, so we say 1 2 stops over and 1 2 stops under. And then when I get them home in Lightroom, you can combine the 3 images into 1 image, which then means often you can actually capture some of the detail in the dark shadows, yet also have some of the detail in the bright bits, the bits that so with the normal exposure you would end up with some bits just blown out, and then other bits where they're so dark you can't see anything, but if you bracket them you can pull them back. So yeah, I didn't talk particularly about that until now. So yeah, so when there's a high dynamic range, some very bright bits and some very, very dark bits, we will bracket them to get an image which is called a HDR, high dynamic range. And if you treat them properly, they'll look fine. I think in the past, HDR images had a certain look, and often people didn't like them because of the way they were treated. And that. But I think these days it's difficult to tell what is a HDR image and what's just a normal image. So yeah, and the only other thing to say, I think the next video will be bluebells. Somebody told me a place to go near Appleby, where there is the annual horse fair. There's a wood there that's supposed to be very good for bluebells. So yeah, the idea is when we next go out to try it. I thought today time wise was limiting and I wasn't quite sure whether they'd be in full bloom yet, but we'll try again probably at the beginning of next week sometime. So yeah, I think I've rambled enough. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Yeah, just to say, if you have enjoyed it, please click the thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. You don't have to watch all the videos, but the thumbs up and the descriptions do help a lot and help the video to get publicised by YouTube a bit more. So yeah, that does help. And what I really do appreciate is any comments people make, whether they be that you didn't like it, that you thought bits of it weren't very good or bits of it were very good. But those I use to partly decide what I'll do in the future and adjust what I'm doing to make it acceptable to as many people as possible. So this video was done in response to somebody sort of saying, well, how do I do the metering? So we've done that today. So yeah, I think we've rambled enough there. So we'll see you on the next video.